Okay, let's put a little paint on here. I'm going to mix up some raw umber and cobalt blue to start with. I want the bottom of my sky to be quite dark. I know I'm going to have more light on the top of the painting. I'm not sure if I'm going to follow this design closely or even at all. But I would like my horizon to be fairly dark. Yeah, I think that'll do. So we'll start off by carving around our shapes a little bit here. Carefully. Just around and on the building, the shed are the only places that I have to be very careful. And fussy. They are the only really what you would call hard lines in the painting. Oops. Add a little blue again. I don't know if you saw my video on mother colors, but right now that's what I'm using. I'm just using raw umber, cobalt blue, and a bit of white in varying degrees. I'm going to cut into this overhang a little bit, just to give it a bit of an irregular look. After all, the shed is supposed to be old. Okay, I'm just going to go along my horizon for the time being. At least it's going to stay quite straight. Might remain that way throughout the painting, I don't know. Looks pretty blah so far, doesn't it? That's okay. If you don't have parts that look blah, then how is the rest of the painting supposed to look good? I have nothing to compare it to. Okay, we need some variety and value there. Get a little bit darker in a few spots. Again, I'm not mixing a large pile. You know, I mix enough for probably 3 or 4 strokes. That keeps me from ending up with a large pile of overmixed color. Sort of a bit of a safeguard against doing that, because I know, for myself anyway, when I'm painting, I'll my mind will wander a little bit. Not that I'm not focusing on the painting, it's just that I'll fixate on small areas sometimes, not remembering the relationship of one area to another. That may be a little therapeutic, but you kind of have to keep your wits about you a little bit. A little bit. A lot of short, choppy strokes here so far. Because the bottom of my sky, I want it to stay fairly uniform in hue and in value along the bottom. Then when I'm working here, I'll throw a touch in there. When I'm working here, I'll throw a touch in there, just to keep things unified in their appearance. Oops. Get too rough there. I don't want a broken knife on my hands. And I definitely don't want a cut canvas on my hands. I'm very lucky so far. I've never accidentally jabbed into a canvas or put a hole in one due to, shall we say, a vigorous knife stroke. Still with my color here. Just two colors. Just cobalt blue and raw umber. This sky I'm planning on having finished in one go. I'll stop the camera a couple of times, but in one, by saying in one go, I mean as in today or this afternoon. And I can add over the wet paint that I have on there a little bit of variety of color if I choose to, if I feel the painting needs it. Very lightly, when I cut against the building with my strokes, I'll scrape off any ridges that form right along the edge of my stroke, so that I don't end up getting trouble from them later. In case I need to go over an area, I don't want to be bumping over ridges over dry paint. Speaking of dry paint, using raw umber here, raw umber is, on my palette, the quickest drying paint that I use. And it's kind of warm in my studio right now, and it's probably going to stay that way today. in about what would I say? In about 4 hours time, this paint will already have a skin on it. So I want to make sure that I have on this surface everything that I want to have. You know, pretty much. I certainly don't want to have a look at it later and say, oh no, that's no good, I have to change the whole big area. That becomes a nightmare. And it can become such a nightmare that you end up having to toss the canvas, which I have had to do. Thankfully, it's not a regular thing. It gets frustrating if it happens too much. So I'm risking things a little bit because I don't have an exact design that I'm following, but yeah, I've done this a time or two. So I feel reasonably confident in my ability to set it down as I want it the first time round. Okay, just a little more of that. For the moment. Now I'm going to sit, carved around the shed. Now I'm just going to sit back and have a look at no, I'm not. I know what I want to do. Still a little more cobalt blue and raw umber and white. You know, I'm just going to throw a touch of yellow ochre in with that. I'm going to go a little bit greenish. That's okay. I do want that idea of the sky sort of bursting away from, well, not bursting away, but, you know, leading away from this area. And I think the best ways to do it, and I often do that design-wise, is to lay in my clouds like so. My first layer might change. Okay, that's done a little bit lighter, that's good. I want this dip to be a little bit to the right of center there. You know, I think that's all more or less how I'd like to see it develop. Okay, so if you include white, really we have mostly 3 colors, but on a few strokes, 4 colors. So we're getting some variety. Already. Alrighty. Just a few more strokes of this. Kind of want this shape to have a bit of a hump in it, a bit of a straight line right now. I want to change that. We'll put a couple shapes in the sky. If I'm not happy later, I can fix them later. Later today, that is. Let's see. I don't just want it to shoot right off the canvas there. Okay. I might be getting a little bit finicky there. So, we are changing our color theme now. And we're running out of this stuff. So, I'll just grab another roll. And I think we're going to get a lot lighter here suddenly. I think. Sometimes I think. I don't always think. Okay. Have a bit of fun here for a moment. Pretty bold. What am I playing with now? Okay, a little bit of raw umber, a little bit of yellow ochre, a little bit of alizarin crimson. Okay, I think I've used this word before. I'm more or less indexing some of the colors that I'm going to be using in the sky. little bit too dirty of a pink. That's much warmer. Excuse me. A little bit sloppy there. Yeah, we'll put a little shot of that in there. I don't know if it's going to stay, but it might. You know, I'm not sure sometimes when I'm painting if I should be. Well, I think that sometimes I should definitely be speeding up the video, but as the painting progresses, sometimes I do a lot of thinking out loud. So, at the risk of it becoming a bit mundane, I don't always speed it up. Because I get the feeling that some of you guys out there aren't just watching, but maybe sort of painting along, or painting along in your mind at least. So during the important parts, during many parts of the painting, I'm a little bit fearful of just speeding it up. I guess I'll just keep playing that by ear. I'm sure you'll be very kind in the comments and say, don't worry about it being boring. So far you have, and I appreciate that. But at the same time, I just want to make sure that I avoid that. However, having said that, you can see that things are beginning to come together now. You can kind of see where the sky is going. Sorry, this talking that I'm doing during the painting, I know it's very stilted and very slow, but I'm not a chew gum and walk kind of guy. I really have to kind of focus on what I'm doing, or things don't go well. And that's why I sound like I'm out of breath every three words. Okay, you know, you're seeing the plan come together there in the sky. I think I'll just stop it now, and on the next video you'll probably see the sky finished. Actually, I'm sure you will. And that will be Monday or Tuesday. So I'll stick my ugly mug in front of the camera now and say, have a good weekend. Thanks for watching, and I do hope this is helpful. I think it is. I've heard that it is. Talk to you soon, guys. Bye-bye.